Guys, welcome back to Couchside. We got another story about the Trump administration, and Gerald's going to fill you in on the details. We're going to provide some commentary on it.
So pretty much in short, the losing streak in court continues for Donald Trump and his travel ban, where today an appeals court actually, again, dealt him another losing blow. And I was reading this article, I've been watching the news about it, and it just got me thinking, what the heck is the point of this travel ban at this point? I mean, is there any legitimacy to it? Like, really, come on. Like, give it up already. Pretty much it's just a waste of time.
The travel ban in its current form, and I might have talked with you about this before at one point, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense anyway, because your objective is supposedly to... you're trying to reduce terrorism by essentially allowing less people in the country, less Muslim people into the country, let's call it what it is.
Let's call it what it is.
But the thing is, you're leaving certain countries off the list, like Saudi Arabia, where most of the terrorists from 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia. So there's too many loopholes in it anyway that it just doesn't even it's not even effective, I don't think, anyway.
Yeah, and let's be honest here, in the black market, okay, you're from, let's see, you're from Iraq. You can't fly over. Okay, I'm an Iraqi citizen. I'm not an Iraqi citizen, but say I'm an Iraqi citizen. I'm going to Saudi Arabia, get my papers switched out. It says I'm a Saudi Arabian citizen. Fly my ass over here to America and do whatever I need to do. The plan does not work. It's not going to work. It's not logical. There's so many holes in it. And at what point are we just going to call it straight what it is? You're just vetting Muslims, countries that don't pay you.
Yeah, it causes more problems than it fixes. I mean, you think about all the holdups at the airlines. You think about permanent residents of the United States not being able to come back home. I mean, there's some ridiculous stuff happening because of it. So I'm kind of glad that the courts are holding it up. And I think that if you're gonna make if you're gonna make a logical argument for Trump on this, then you have to be of the mindset of like, okay, all these countries that are in any way or shape or form involved with terrorism are banned. But when you have certain countries that are and certain that aren't, at that point, it doesn't even make sense from that perspective either.
At that point, it doesn't even make sense because let's be honest here. Like you said earlier, most of the terrorists in the 9/11 attacks came from Saudi Arabia, which are not banned. Egypt, I don't think they're into banning. Yet Egypt just got out of a civil war. So these are hotbed areas that they're not banned, but these other countries are. And it just doesn't make sense to me logically because... no, it just doesn't at all.
This is where I think the logic comes in, maybe, is that...
Please educate me.
Egypt and Saudi Arabia, I think, are more, like, allied to us, where some of these other countries aren't.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it comes in. It's like, okay, they're an allied country, so we're not going to impose it on them. But the thing is, like, if your whole thesis behind why we need this is, oh, like, Muslims are more prone to terrorism, we have a problem with the Muslims... then it doesn't make sense for you to leave any of those countries off the list. And then, like you said, over in other parts of the world, we don't have the same paperwork on everybody. It's pretty easy to like switch out, get a fake passport, fake ID or whatever, and just go to another country and fly in. Not that hard to do.
They come a dime a dozen. And I mean, again, people are saying, well, then you have the Syrian refugees, you have this, you have that. And it's like, let's be honest here. A lot of the terrorism that's happened, at least in recent years in America, recent attacks, for example, sadly, a year ago, the Orlando shooting, these are people that had been living in America. Instead of worrying about as much external, let's worry about more internal. That church that got shot up, that was a white Christian kid. Christian, we'll call him what it is. These aren't Syrians, these aren't Libyans. These are people that are in this country. Those are the ones causing these main attacks. Now, overseas, can't say that. I don't know the background of the terrorists over there, but at least the reports that have been here, they're from here. No travel ban is going to protect against terrorism that's grown in the States.
Yeah, and you have to be wary of things like mental health issues, and you have to be wary of, people getting radicalized over social media now. I honestly don't know what steps you take to prevent that, other than like cracking down more on those websites and accounts. But That's where you need to focus it on more than anything else,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Now, granted, I'm not someone that's for like completely open borders.
Yeah.
I actually personally see some validity to having that sort of force that does. I see the point of not allowing people to just come over willy nilly. Like, but at the same time, like, the flip side of the argument is it would be kind of cool if, like, say, we could just pick up and go to any country we wanted to and live there.
Cool.
Like, see, I'm actually for that if everyone's on board. But if that's not how it's going to be, then I think every country just needs to have its borders and police it. So
yeah, I mean, I agree too, because that'd be really cool just to pick up and leave whenever you want. But I mean, it just begs me to question. It's like, yes, travel bans from countries where they're projected to be hotbeds for terrorism. I could see the logic to a degree in that. But even when it first came out, it was almost like, I don't know if you remember the original wording, but it was like certain Christians could come through from certain parts of the country and this and it just came out to me as like another form of bigotry, another form of just prejudice. Do you remember that in the beginning?
yeah, I do. Now, in continuing this conversation, there's a couple other things to touch on, but before we get into like a more deep discussion, let's talk about, since this is a story about Trump and how he was denied again on his travel ban, does this go to the Supreme Court? And if it does, do you think he finally gets vindicated at that point and was allowed to do it? Because remember, he just appointed someone onto the Supreme Court. I'm pretty sure it's getting more and more conservative by the year. So
I think honestly, and that's the thing, me and you could do a million stories about this, but when you say it like that, yeah, this trial ban actually could happen if it goes to the Supreme Court. I mean, then again, who knows? Who really knows? But if you're looking at a Republican, more conservative, controlled Supreme Court, Trump could actually get his way, and it's kind of scary when you think about it, because then it's like, well, what's next, you know?
And also, by the way, just a sidebar, I think that's total bullshit that the Supreme Court's getting politicized now.
Yeah.
It's like, what they should be doing with that is just like, okay, whoever has the best qualifications gets appointed, and we don't do these litmus tests with their political views. Like, that's not...
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I'm a conservative or I'm a liberal. Like, no, like, your political ideology should not matter when you're getting put on the Supreme Court. That's bogus.
Totally. And that's why it leads to things like, Obama not being able to put someone on, and then the Republicans obstruct put somebody on, and then it's going to happen vice versa, potentially. Like, it's just causing too many... Like, our politics now are already, like, partisan enough. It's like one more thing,
Yeah, I mean, you get the highest court in the world, in the country, pretty much just like, well, this, for the next, like, 15 or so years, it'll be more leaning conservative, but then if somebody passes away, it could be more liberal, and it's just like, I kind of hate it. It kind of loses respect, because it's like, it just goes to whoever is the lucky idiot in the Oval Office. That's who determines where the shift goes in the Supreme Court.
Here's the other thing I want to have in like a deeper conversation here is that, there was this big thing made before the election of like, because Hillary was on board with, we need to bring in more refugees, and Trump was very much the opposite direction. And it kind of gets into like this moral debate of like, oh, you're messed up because you don't want to allow refugees in the country. No, you want to get us killed by terrorists. Like, I just kind of want to like ask a little bit about like how you feel that whole situation. Like, what should we be doing with refugees, and like how careful should we be with like who we let into the country?
See, so there's multiple sides to this, and I actually just sadly read an article actually about Baltimore City, which is about 15 minutes away from where we are right now at my house. And they were talking about how bad the cities are. They were talking about how like kids, it's pretty much like you can't plan anything. Trust me, there's rambling. There's a point to it. There's certain points where it's like, oh, kids are growing up like 5th grade graduations are celebrated just as big as high school graduations because you don't know if they're going to survive. That's how hardcore the lifestyle is in some parts of Baltimore and a lot of inner cities in this country. And then it's like, okay, I get it. There are these terrorists that are over there in Syria and Libya and all these hotbed countries. And I mean, people are literally being bombed. I mean, their city blocks are being bombed or being stunned. And it's like, part of me is like, well, I get the point, you know, where Trump was saying it. Like, I feel like I don't think he had a lot of backing and emotionals like I do when I say this, but I do think we need to spend more money and take care of our American refugees that we have in these inner cities. You know, I care for the people that are, you know, worldwide. I have love for all humanity, and I do think we should help those people to a degree, but we have yet to do really anything for the inner city, you know, the inner city families. That literally, if you drive down through some parts of Baltimore, it looks like parts of Syria, dude. Go to Detroit, it looks like bombed out Iraq. And it's a very thin line between for it and against it, because, you know, and it was funny because a lot of conservatives who tend to be more Christian tend to say, well, we don't want these refugees, but in the, you know, in any scripture you read, it says, love thy neighbor, take in thy hungry, you know, you're poor, whatever. So it's like, I didn't really understand their stance from that. But I do understand, at least from my point of view, of like, what we have here, you know, we should be taking care of our own before we do start to let people in. But I don't know, man.
I'm of the opinion that this country sometimes we put it on ourselves to do a little bit too much. It's like, just because we're like this big, well, we're actually not even that rich of a country anymore, because we're in debt, but we used to be this big, rich, powerful country, and in a lot of ways we still are. But it's like, just because you're at that level doesn't mean you need to take it completely on yourself to have the world's far and away largest military and police the entire world, and then also feel like it's your responsibility to spend billions on foreign aid and take everybody in.
Exactly.
I want us to, like, it's funny because, like, I want us to focus more on our own problems internally within the country, and that's what Trump made it sound like he was going to do, but really I don't think it is what he's doing.
Yeah. I think, honestly, let's be honest here, Trump said a lot of things in that election that got a lot of people that felt voiceless. You know, they gave them this empowerment. Oh, we're going to close up the borders so these immigrants you're scared of won't take your job. Oh, we won't bring in these refugees so they won't take your jobs or your health care, your benefits. It wasn't a sense of, oh, we're going to stop these immigrants from, or these refugees from coming in because we need more money to take care of our people. That was never the reason why. And that's what pisses me off so much about the Trump, you know, platform. It's like, dude, you don't give a damn about the people. If you did, you would be in the inner cities spending more time pushing monies there to help build up these areas.
That's the big thing, is like, when you hear about, and this is, you know, a little off topic from what our general discussion was, but like going back to like the Trump budget cuts, it's like, okay, you know, I understand, like, you're trying to, you know, reduce that. I mean, it's one thing if you're like taking those funds and using it to either like pay down debt or like towards something else good, but when you're just like pumping up the military budget or you're giving tax breaks to billionaires, like at that point, like, you're taking stuff out of like what's good and then just putting it into stuff that's stupid. Like that's the big problem, man. It's like, I totally get it. Like, you're cutting something that maybe we could use, but like, you know, when you're just putting it, like, at least put it to something else that's useful.
And I'm gonna reference you for a second. You did a previous face-to-face video. You can find it on our channel where you talked in depth about how we could fix this healthcare thing. Get rid of, what was it? I think you said get rid of Social Security to build up Medicare.
Yeah, see, and that in and of itself is a pretty radical idea, but the way I phrased it was you would phase out the Social Security over time, so the people that are about to collect and are old aren't going to get screwed. Yeah. It's more on us that are not going to get the benefit.
Which we're not. Let's be honest here. There's no one under the age of 45, I'll say even 40, that's probably going to benefit from Social Security. The same Social Security you take out of my check every single week. Let's be honest here. You could literally get rid of Social, like you said, the way you phrased it, I was listening to it on the way to work. I was like, wow, this actually worked. But it's like these programs he wants to cut, there's no backup plan for getting rid of food stamps or Medicare or any of that stuff that people need. No, you're just doing it to virtually do it, to appease this platform, these followers that you have that think these things are bad ideas until they wake up one morning and realize they have no freaking healthcare anymore. That's all he's doing.
I think, and the big thing is, like, you want to have programs that help people in the now and help a wide range of people. That's why I kind of like the universal healthcare thing, because it's gonna, like, okay, it doesn't literally help everybody, because if you're one of those rich people that has a really nice plan through your employer, or if you're in Congress, you get it through just the government or whatever. But like, by and large, everyone can take advantage of that system. You know what I mean? But like, you think about some of these other programs, Social Security. Well, I'm sorry, but if I'm one of those people that's going to die at age 50, I'm not seeing a damn benefit from that. You know, like, so...
Die that early.
But that's my point, is like, you can pay into certain things your whole life and not see a damn bit of good from it. I like things that help everybody right now. So, like, that's what I like about that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, like, I look at it like tax cuts for now. Like, give us tax cuts. You know, you're giving these big businesses, you don't need this money. You know, meanwhile, you're, like, stamping the heads out of, you know, crushing the heads of people that literally work for these rich companies. Or, like, healthcare. I mean, I don't understand. And again, people are going to flood the comments or the comment on my Facebook post, well, I have this friend in England, or I have this friend in Canada, but their healthcare is horrible, this, that, or the other. Okay, I get that. And I'm going to vocalize this for the first time in person and not, you know, just on a Facebook post. Tell me how... in 2017, in the United States of America, there are people that don't even have basic health care. I'm not talking about top end, oh, I can get, you know, Ben Carson do brain surgery on me. I'm talking about literally, there are people that can't even afford to go to the doctor if they get an infected cut or they even have a common cold. That's absurd. I'll give England that. Yeah, their health care may not be the best. I don't know. Never had it. But I know everybody in their country can go to the doctor if they wanted to, if they needed to, and not be beat over the head monthly by, you know, medical costs and their checks.
And, you know, and it's a system that does have drawbacks in the sense that...
But every system does.
It's like, yeah, there could be longer lines to get in, but of course, because everyone can go and get themselves treated. I mean, it's obvious. Like, why wouldn't that be the case? But
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, but as you said that, everybody can get it. You know, when I hear arguments like, oh, well, so-and-so had to wait this long. So you're saying your healthcare is so great because there's a person that doesn't help healthcare that's not in front of you in line? That's virtually what everybody's saying when they say that argument. You know?
Yeah. But, you know, getting back to this whole travel ban thing, I mean...
How do we get out?
There's a lot to talk about.
There's so much to talk about.
But the one other thing I would bring up with the travel ban is, like... You're calling it a travel ban. Mm-hmm. We know it's a Muslim ban.
Yeah.
Your goal is to block people block the Muslims because you think they all have this radical ideology, or that a lot of them do. Maybe not all. But the point is, when did like being a Muslim become something that's so easily identifiable?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, when you're of a certain faith, that's not supposed to like. I mean, I guess you can generalize like, oh, most Muslims are Arabs, but like. Okay, is it a travel ban against Arabs or Muslims or like what are you doing here? You know what I mean?
Because there are Christian Arabs. There are people that live in the Middle East that are Christian that don't look like you or me. You know? And it's like, and that's what's hilarious to me. I find it. It's like, how do you justify it? I remember actually I was looking at the Time Hop app because I guess actually the Orlando shooting happened a year ago, and of course the first thing they say, it was a Muslim shooter. I don't give a shit who or what religion he is. The fact that he just went into a club and shot people is enough. I don't care about his religion. Honestly, I get it. Okay, so a certain group of terrorism claim to be Muslim. So you are cool with generalizing everybody, you know? Every time there's a terrorist act, when the guy that ran the car into the people on the London Bridge, first thing they say, it was a Muslim. Shut the hell up about that. Dude, there's nothing more annoying.
And that's the thing that gets me is like the generalizations to back these kind of arguments. Because, and I'll give you another example, as it has to do with like the illegal immigrants. I'm not going to, someone in my family, I'm not going to mention who, but someone in my family told me about this story in Maryland where some girl in high school was raped by like an illegal alien student or something like that.
I heard about that.
And this person in my family tried to use that as a basis of, this is why we need Trump's wall. This is why we need to get all these people out of here. I'm like, I'm sorry, because one person does something horrendous, everyone that's in any way like similar to them has to leave.
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense to me. I mean, like, just as easily it could have been someone that's white. Does that mean all the white people gotta leave the country?
Yeah, let's talk about that rapist that... Well, I don't even know. It was like some white kid, some rapist. He raped the girl that was, like, not even awake. Got a slap on the wrist in court. So does that mean we have to ban every white guy? Like,
or do you have to round up all the men in the entire country and get them to leave so that there's no rape anymore?
Much.
I mean, like, you gotta... Like, at some point, you gotta realize, like, how ridiculous your argument is.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to take, like, you have to understand we live in a world where bad things are going to happen, but what is your response to that? Is it something batshit, or is it something that makes a little bit of sense? You know?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, pretty much like, oh, this one guy robbed me. You know, block his whole entire race. Like, jeez. It's like you know, the whole, like, the stereotype of black guys, you know, a couple of black guys may have robbed somebody, now you're walking around scared of every single black guy you see, you know? It's like, so stupid.
But at the end of the day, man, it's like a travel ban that
bogus.
Even in its own respect is half-assed, and I'm blocking all the countries, so it's
especially
like...
the country where the terrorists probably came from.
Yeah, it's like, it's clear... I don't know, it's ridiculous, but my prediction is Trump, as long as he's the president, is continue to fight this. It'll eventually go to Supreme Court, should that be the case, and from there... It might actually get allowed. I wouldn't be surprised.
Might actually become law, and we'll see.
So anyway, guys, make sure to like our video and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, and we're going to keep coming at you from the Couchside with other videos, political and news related. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and don't forget, we're only 8 subscribers away from our goal. So please tell your friends, share our videos. Subscribe. Take care, guys.
We went off on a tangent a couple times.
We did, but it was a good tangent. It was a great tangent. I enjoyed that tangent.